Welcome back to A People's Guide to Publishing. I'm Joe Beal, the founder and CEO of Microcosm Publishing and Distribution. I'm also the author of A People's Guide to Publishing, which distills what I've learned from selling millions of books over the past 25 years.
I'm Ellie Blue. I'm the editorial and marketing director here at Microcosm. We are an independent mid-list publisher based in Portland, Oregon. We have 14 employees, over 650 titles in print with 20 to 40 new books per year, and we distribute thousands of titles from other publishers.
We started this podcast so that we can share what we've learned with newer publishers so that you can learn from our mistakes.
Or perhaps you just want to better understand the publishing industry.
This week, we are going to talk about everybody's pie-in-the-sky pipe dream, Subrights.
Joe, what are Subrights?
Subrights are, it's like, you know, when you sell, like, soap door-to-door or whatever, and you have, like, a pyramid scheme, and you're, you're kind of making out, like, you put, like, 6 salespeople beneath you in the world, and then they sell to all their friends. Well, it's like the inverse of that, where you have a book and maybe you're not the best person to sell, say, Russian rights to your book, because maybe you don't know anybody in Russia. But people in Russia that publish books know people in Russia, and there are licensing agencies that have those relationships. And, like in theory, a lot of people could and or do make their own audiobooks, but like, is that the best way to make and distribute it? Almost always no. So the best way to do that is to have somebody that has all those relationships and has, can put them in libraries and can put them on all the platforms, and, and it's like, I'm forever inundated with the argument that, like, anybody could discover anything on the internet, but how often does that actually happen?
Well, so we actually kind of have a case in point where we made our own audiobook of the book Crate Digger. The author was, like, really gung-ho to do it, and we were like, sure, if you record it, we'll release it.
And we did a few more like that.
And how many copies of that did we sell on our own?
I think it might have nearly been 100.
Really? I remember it being more like 5, but...
Well, we did work with an audiobook distributor.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Who, I don't know, I felt like maybe if we had, like, mafia-style threats that we could impose, they would have paid us, but instead we had to, like, revoke our contract, because even when they would announce sales to us, they weren't paying us for them.
Oh, good grief. I forgot about that.
And so, they sold some, but, and then, and that was really a bummer, because the Crate Digger audiobook, shout out to Bob, fan of this podcast.
It's really cool. It has music in it.
And he got the rights to all of the music in the book, so you get to listen to the music in the audiobook, which, like, makes it such a different experience, and yet, it was just like...
It turns out we are not an audiobook publisher.
Like many things, ahead of its time. And
so then what did we do?
So then we went to Ashland, Oregon for a literary conference. For the viewers that can't see me, I'm pushing my glasses further up my nose.
I'm actually doing that because they were kind of falling down.
Ellie, you're making my case in point. And shout out to Laura Stanfill, who introduced us to the fine individuals at Blackstone Publishing, who did agree to take a meeting and did buy rights to a wide swath of our catalog, and did take over distribution of the 3, maybe 4 self-published audiobooks we had at that time, including a little fledgling title that you may have heard of called Unfuck Your Brain. And here we are, however many years later, 3, 4, I don't remember anymore, 5, perhaps?
Getting on up there.
We sold tens of thousands, maybe 100,000 audiobooks to date. It's, I mean, I get the reports, and it's like you turn from page 1 to page 2, and it's still going. You get to page 3 to page 4, and you're just like, okay, I get it. We sold a lot of audiobooks. I don't need to add it up.
So what are Subrights in this context?
So Subrights is us selling our, author wrote the book. We recorded the book with the author. Mm-hmm. So in theory, we own the copyright to that recording. The author owns the right to that performance, but we own the rights to lease those rights to a third party. In this case, Blackstone Audio. So the subrights are the agreement by which they can manufacture and distribute that audiobook. And lo and behold, they sell it to libraries, to, downloads, to streams, to, places you've heard of, places you've never heard of, and then we get a check every month in a beautiful world where, and this is the beauty of subrights. You don't have to do anything.
Right. So we also have sold rights for translations, even for a couple of movies. Mm-hmm. Are there any other kinds of subrights or rights sales that we make?
So, you could theoretically sell rights to a large print edition to someone that specializes in that. You could sell rights to an adaptation into a children's book. You could sell rights to
a Broadway play.
Yeah. I mean, we've
let's hold out for that one.
Shout out to Rob Morton with God Forgive These Bastards, whose book was adapted into a Broadway play.
Yes.
True story. Also into Spanish. Maybe less interest in people about the Spanish edition than the Broadway play, though. Not say I'm surprised. Not a lot of authors get adapted into theater. I'm sorry, I pronounced it wrong. Theater.
So we don't usually handle those rights sales directly. Usually we go through an agency.
Depends on the day.
Got it.
The vast majority of ones that we do sell do come to us via telephone call or email.
Right, people find the book and they're like, I love it.
Yeah.
And we don't actually do anything but answer the phone and respond in a timely manner.
Right, usually. And then say, yes, we do have that, or no, we can't have that, or sorry, somebody else already has that, And we get that a lot, especially for certain countries, certain languages, So, once upon a time, for example, graphic novels are sort of the Hollywood of Italy, so we get a lot, when we have a new comic, we'll get a lot of interest in Italian rights to that comic, because that would be, everybody wants to do that. And then, in a lot of cases, we get a lot of interest for books in Japanese, but people in Japan are a little risk averse, so they're not really jumping on it.
I feel like China is where we sell most of the rights.
Yeah, that's true.
A little bit of Russia.
But that's really only in the last 5 years. Mm-hmm. And lately Russia, yeah, we've gotten to have a strong relationship with the largest publisher in Russia.
My book was translated into Russian, and I got to see my name in Cyrillic, which was really super cool.
And there's a brand new Russian edition of Henry and Glenn Forever.
Oh, I did not realize that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, it's not printed yet, but
I didn't even know that was in the works. That's so exciting.
Mm-hmm. I know, right? You really it's one of those things.
See, the rights, they just go right by.
Mm-hmm. And that's the beauty of it is you don't need to learn Russian to make your book be in Russian.
So we recently did put out our first foreign language edition.
That's true, yeah.
We put out a Spanish language edition of Unfuck Your Brain, De Shinga to Cerebro, and we're trying to sell it ourselves. And honestly, kind of the best case scenario is another publisher, a Spanish language publisher, picks it up, but... I
lost the bet. I really put my money in my mouth that we would sell the rights the minute before or after we sent the book to print. But honestly, still we've sold that book in I think Greek, Chinese, Japanese,
Turkish,
French. You'd think Spanish, the number 2 language, would be somewhere in that list. Russian. And, but no, we published the Spanish language edition, and so we're just now beginning to ship those out. So we'll get back to you in a year about how that's going, but it's been going pretty good to date. And we have distribution in South America, so it's a little easier because obviously selling English language books in places is not the easiest thing. But, having a book in Spanish makes it quite a bit easier for those people. And, but I'll also tell you it's quite a bit more work to translate a book and to print and distribute a book in Spanish or any language that the majority of dumb Americans do not know how to read. Because it puts you in a certain niche and it limits you in a certain way. So it's like you have to sort of get on those scales of justice and see like if that balances out.
Sorry, rest of the world.
Yeah. But so, you can you go through that once or twice and you'll see how much work it is, and then you'll be happy to just get your monthly reports and checks from other publishers. And, we've sold a lot of English language stuff in countries we have trouble reaching, like England or Australia or, other places where it's ostensibly the exact same book, sometimes with the exact same layout, but they just have better relationships in their own country.
Right, it makes more sense for them to like literally manufacture it there rather than ship it there.
Also that. Well, and next week we will berate you with some more stories of different graphic novels for your amusement. Thanks for joining us once again.
Please send your questions to podcast@microcosmpublishing.com so we can answer them on future episodes.
And please give us 5 stars on iTunes and everywhere else that podcasts are reviewed.
You can find us on the internet at microcosm.pub,
on Twitter at Microcosm,
on Facebook at Microcosm Publishing,
on Instagram at Microcosm_pub,
and here in Portland, Oregon on North Williams Avenue.
Thank you so much.
Have a wonderful week.